Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus Arcade video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Tekken 5.1, released in 2005. The actual original arcade version of Tekken 5 was released in November 2004, but this improved version came out a few months later in 2005. And now in this gameplay, I will be playing as Asuka Kazuma, who is one of the new characters to Tekken 5. And I figured I would do a gameplay video of Tekken 5 that's actually captured with my capture card, because you really can't appreciate how great this game looks until you just see it in a bit better of a light. And honestly, I just like playing Tekken 5. It's one of those games that every once in a while, I gotta hook up the System 256 and give this game a play. The two characters, of course, that were added for Tekken 5 were Asuka Kazuma and Fang. I'm not sure if he's shown in this video, but he's like that kung fu guy with the long hair. And then, of course, if you're looking at Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection, you also had Lily and that Drakov guy.
Get ready for the next battle.
And I won't. Oh, speaking of which, here is the other new guy.
Round one. Fight.
What I was gonna say, is I won't lie, I do lose quite a few times in this gameplay. I had to actually edit all the clips together, but I did a bit better than my previous record. Like, before I had actually recorded the gameplay you're seeing here, I had actually recorded one other playthrough, which I did like 14 minutes as my total time. And then I did this gameplay, which I did slightly better. My first attempt actually doing this while I was recording, I ended up not being able to do better, and it was like 15 minutes and I was still facing Jinpachi, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna stop playing this right now. But yeah, getting back to capturing this, the really strange part of this game, I believe Soul Calibur 2 actually had the same problem, but it will not, what do you call it, my VGA to HDMI won't sync to the signal that the System 256 outputs when it's actually playing this game. So what I actually have to do is take the GBS 8200 and have it go through the 8200, and then that takes it up to 1024 by 768, and then it goes into the upscaler, and then I can actually upscale so the Elgato can capture it. But that's not surprising, because I've actually heard people say the signal that Tekken 5 actually outputs is a bit weird, so it's no surprise you have to kind of finagle with it. But as you can see here, as I mentioned in my previous video, Tekken 5 just looks amazing. There's no doubt about that. And if you wanted to see the actual intro video, I've uploaded that in a separate video. The cool part is, compared to the console version, it actually is a bit different. It's a bit shorter and has a different music track, as the home version actually has a bit of a difference in the music, where it plays this theme in the beginning and then it totally changes after it stops showing the part where Kazuya and Heihachi are fighting the Jack 4 robots.
You win.
And one thing I definitely have to say about Asuka here is she has a lot of good kicks, and she's actually very good for
Spirits, give me strength.
She's actually very good, like Yoshimitsu, when it comes to doing a lot of the spin kicks and a lot of the quick moves. And as I said earlier, I'm not an expert at this game by any means, but I think I'm pretty good, considering the gameplay you're seeing is on the game's default hard mode, so I did not take it down to medium or easy or anything. And I definitely say, of all stages, this has to be one of my favorite stages, because I just love it how when you walk through the coins, they actually fly up like that. I think just a really cool effect.
You lose.
And I always find that crazy that, I know it's customary for someone like me to kind of put that extra touch on after your enemy's knocked out, but I just find it crazy that the AI actually does that too. So like when my character was down on the ground there, Julia kept on hitting me, even though she had totally knocked me out and everything. And it's not something you expect from the AI of a game that they would kind of pour it on after you're knocked out. And that's one thing I always wondered is,
You win.
if you're actually fighting, can it actually happen that
Fight.
I hit you, you hit me, and we both fly back? It's just one of those things that I always wondered if it actually is possible when real people are fighting. And the funny thing, as of making this video in 2015, this game of course is still not emulated because
You win. Get ready for the
nobody has figured out how to emulate Namco System 246 or 256 at this point. I'm sure in the
Round
future
one.
it'll become a thing,
Fight.
but I actually saw a post on a message board where the guy's like, has anybody got Tekken 5.1 running? I have all the files and everything, but it just won't run. And I'm guessing people probably said, yeah, the game just doesn't run in MAME right now because PlayStation 2 emulation is not implemented. And from what I've actually understand and from what I've collected from other people, I don't know if I'd mentioned this in my original video, this version of Tekken 5.1 is actually one of the final revisions. So,
You
unlike
win.
the earlier versions of Tekken 5 and even the earlier versions of Tekken 5.1, this has all the characters unlocked by default. Because if you take any of the earlier versions of Tekken 5.1 and you boot them up cold, you'll have like a lot of characters that are missing. Whereas mine on the program dongle, which I'm actually holding in my hand right now, it says TE52 version B, which I believe is the final version before they went to Dark Resurrection.
You win.
So that's a really cool thing. It's kind of similar
Get ready
to
for the next battle.
my Tekken 4, which is actually Tekken 4 version D.
Come on.
Because I know a
Round
lot of
one.
people said in Tekken 4,
Fight.
if you wanted to play as Jin, you actually needed to wait for his character to be time released, but as far as I can tell, my version doesn't have that restriction, so probably just like this game where the final revision they just figured, yeah, why not? At this point, people are going to be putting the upgrade in their arcade machine. Why would we want them to have all the characters unlocked again? So
You win.
they just took the version and they made it fully unlocked from the get-go, so nobody has to worry about that anymore. Which of course makes plenty of sense because in an arcade you're probably going to lose money if someone gets there and their favorite character is not unlocked all of a sudden because the operator had to upgrade the game.
You lose. Final round. Fight.
And unfortunately, what I talked about in my original arcade video, when you start the match and Brian Fury is just laughing like crazy, did not happen in this version, because one of the cool things about Tekken 5 is some of the characters have multiple intro sequences, but unfortunately, Brian Fury never ended up doing the crazy laughing thing, which I like so much, because it just makes his character just seem really insane. You're like, wow, that guy's scary. I really don't want to have to fight him.
Get ready for
And
the
that's
next
another thing I
battle.
think is really cool is that Asuka here has multiple win poses, including that one.
Round one.
And as you saw from the intro there, this is actually one of my favorite pieces of music in this game, which is called Moonlit Wilderness, and that's actually the name of this stage as well. And I know I'd made mention of it in my first arcade video, but I'm going to make mention of it again. And one thing I think is really cool is when Mokujin actually plays as Roger Jr. here, Mokujin actually has a tail then, because some of the moves that Roger Jr. does are tail moves. So if you don't have the tail, then it would just be like, let's say if Mokujin mined Yoshimitsu and didn't have a sword, it'd be like Mokujin would be stabbing with nothing, so they had to put the tail in, but I just thought that was kind of a cool touch. And I honestly was really surprised that I was able to get through Stage 7 without really much thought. As you saw, there was no edit there for
Get ready for the next
loss. And the only way you can really see the edits for the loss in this gameplay is if you watch the timer, because the way that I actually edited this is I actually inserted it right after the get ready for the next battle, so it's more or less seamless, except for, of course, the time jumping. It looks like there's a few, like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 edits in this video. And I know for a fact that Devil Jin and Jinpachi had a decent amount of losses. I know Devil Jin I lost twice. Jinpachi I lost a decent amount of times. But you know, the most annoying part about the losses to Devil Jin is both of the losses to Devil Jin, he only had a little bit of life, and he somehow ended up pulling out the victory both times. And you know, if like I had done a victory, then the guy would have went great. But yeah, it was just annoying that, you know, so close to winning, yet so far. One cool thing I think is, like, the other costume for Devil Jin, it's kind of weird, but the wings are white and he doesn't look as evil. Now here's your quick cutscene.
よくぞここまでたどり着いたな。わしの名は三島陣八。わしの目的は全ての破壊。
Round 1.
And I definitely like, I know I mentioned it in my arcade video, but I definitely like how Jinpachi really is like evil incarnate. He's like crazy evil in his, what he does. But, and I just love how you can kind of see him, how he's like normal, he starts talking normal, and then in that cutscene, as he gets to the end of what he's saying, then his voice just kind of changes and becomes more demonic. I just love that. And I made mention of this in my other video, but as you can see what I've been saying in that video, just how all the background stuff is so easy to see in this version, whereas opposed to the home version, it just was a little bit less easy to see. And I can remember when this victory happened, I was like, oh wow, that would have been great if I had just been a little bit lower on health, but it wasn't. In my first gameplay of this, when I couldn't beat Jinpachi, I actually did get a great on one of my matches. But yeah, as I said, the timer ended up being like a lot more than my first playthrough, and I thought that would have been lame to show a playthrough where I did worse than I did before. But then I just ended up doing this gameplay, and I did a bit better, which was good. It's always good to like top your personal best or your best for the moment.
You win.
And now we're gonna see the second cutscene here real quick.
これでよかったのだ。
And of course, you have defeated Jinpachi and he can't destroy the world anymore, which of course is a good thing because nobody wants the world to be destroyed, because what would we do then? And as it's probably been mentioned numerous times at this point, Heihachi Mishima is not dead, as the intro actually had said. because he's in Tekken 6, and of course he does make an appearance in Tekken 7, so that kind of proves that what Raven says in the intro, which that's actually Raven saying that, not like the announcer like I had always thought for so long. Heihachi Mishima is by all means not dead, or he wouldn't have even been in Tekken 6. But yeah, the arcade version of Tekken 5 is an excellent game to play. If you have an arcade by you, or you know anyone who has a Namco System 256, I highly recommend giving this game a try, the arcade version of course, because it's graphically better and everything just seems to run a lot better in my opinion. But then again, maybe I'm just a bit of a purist and I just like my arcade versions of video games better, but honestly that's just me. And this shows you all the fine folks that brought us this game back in 2005 for this version, 2004 for the original version, and of course a little bit later for Dark Resurrection, which was Tekken 5.2, which is TED1 and TED2. Because when I'd first seen the actual program dongle for this game and it said TE52, I thought that meant Tekken 5.2, not realizing it was a revision of Tekken 5.1. And of course, since I beat my old time, I get to enter the time in the records here. As you can see, those two were the only actual successful playthroughs I did, so there's only this one, because it replaces your old record with the new record, since every character only has one record at any given time. It's not like some games where you could have, like, say, 12 playthroughs for Song Mina, like in Soul Calibur, but it just replaces the personal best of any character in Time Attack with the previous record. And of course, there's no great survivors here because I've never played 2 players, and that's the only time that you get the greatest survivors. Well, this has been another Game Nexus Arcade video, and I shall see you later. Bye.